in the privacy of their own residence.
I really want to echo what you just said because, I think I told you guys both the story. The first time I heard the term occupational therapy was connected to my mom had a hospital stay, and they said, okay, she needs occupational therapy. I'm like, no, she's retired. Which shows where we most of us are. We don't have, so we hear these terms, but we don't really know what the benefit is. So that's maybe a great place for you to
Or
jump
the
in.
difference between occupational therapy and physical therapy.
Right.
People get that confused a lot. They don't really understand the difference. And how important occupational therapy is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're correct. I can't tell you the number of times I've called, residents or other county, and I said, hi, this is Jital Patel, your occupational therapist. I received a referral from your doctor, and say, well, I'm retired. I don't need any occupation, But yes, as far as occupational therapy and physical therapy, there is a fine line, and I think the two words do get mixed up a lot. I think the general idea is that any and all therapy is physical therapy. The difference between the physical and occupational therapy, I'll explain. The occupational therapy might be a better way to understand it. Occupation is anything that you do from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed. So, getting in and out of your bed, being able to dress yourself, bathe yourself, and then you also have the other your ADLs, and you also have the other IADLs, your activity,
And explain that ADLs and IADLs
right.
for our listeners. What does that mean?
Right. We hear that term so often. You said, well, OT is all about ADLs. Well, ADLs is the activities of daily living, the little things that you do. Dressing, bathing, toileting, all of that. The IADLs is the instrumental activities of daily living, the bigger picture stuff. So being able to drive, grocery shopping, the bigger picture outside of just the dressing activities. So the IADLs is also very important. And aside from the ADLs and IADLs, occupational therapy has such a large scope. We can do, we do vision therapy as well, cognitive rehab. We do driving evaluations,
home adaptation,
as well. Absolutely,
recommendations, to make it safer. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just did a home assessment last night for a gentleman who wants to age in place. I think that's the biggest thing for our county as well. With the number of seniors we have, it's always the idea of aging in place in your home, making yourself independent and also your home as functional and independent for you. And that's where the OTs come in and say, well, maybe we need some extra grab bars or a ramp or throw rugs, removed from the house, and that's part of OT as well.
Right. And Jital, I have a question for you. Jital, I'm sorry, I have a friend, Jital. Jital, when you recommend or you suggest you might need a wheelchair ramp or grab bars, do you help lead those folks to the resources of where they can get those type of things?
I do, yeah. We do try to give them the resources and the information, and then we kind of walk them through the process. It's not just like, here's a referral, here's where you can go and call. Once they do get the equipment at home, we do train them on it. We actually first, set them up with it. Is it the right height for you, the right depth of the wheelchair, cushions, what all they need. We train them, and then if it's a perfect fit, they're good to go. But we do try to get out to the community, especially, if there's the senior resource centers, we do go out and say, here's an option for you to get your wheelchair and your walker or whatever else it may be.
Right. Mm-hmm. Good to know.
I was going to just add in kind of anecdotally, another thing that was kind of a first for us was, shortly after Joe created Helping Seniors of Brevard, he had a pretty serious stroke. And Joe, being the kind of the person that he is, he's 89. He's like the most tenacious person and serious about looking after seniors in our county of anybody I've ever met. And I remember he's lying in the hospital bed. He's just kind of like getting back to conscious, and he calls us in. Actually, his wife Terry calls us in and says, "Kerry," he said, "I know you guys do a lot of media, but he said I want you to come in and film my recovery because I want to show people what can happen if you do this." And so we were there. He was an inpatient. And so he was doing the physical therapy, the occupational therapy, the speech therapy, all that was happening in-house. But it was phenomenal because that was really, we brought cameras in. The shows, by the way, you can go see those shows. They're on helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. You can find them on our YouTube channel. You can find him on our Facebook page for that matter. But it was fascinating because we went in and we filmed. And I remember he had a lady, I think her name was Elba. And so that reminded Joe of Napoleon. And so he kept saying, "You're like working me to death. You're working me to death." And then Joe would still, but he would do it. And I can't believe it because it was like 3 months later, we did a TV show at that facility and Joe was hosting it. And so it was proving that it was true that you with physical therapy, occupational therapy, it makes all the difference. And kind of the postscript to it was literally like a year to the day when he had the stroke, we were filming TV and he got to talk to his emergency room doctor. And she comes in and she says, "Wow, you look a whole lot better than the day I met you." And she said, "We don't often get to see what happens." But
right.
but the point that I want to kind of bring through this whole thing is how effective physical therapy and occupational therapy can be. And I'm sure you see that, Jital. I'm talking with Jital Patel with Coastal Occupational Therapy almost every day as you're working with folks.
Absolutely. There's a kind of, like you said, behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't see what's happening and from point A to point B, the recovery process. And again, going back to the OT and PT, without the physical therapist, you won't have an OT, and OT without the PT just doesn't make sense. So a lot of times it's, if the physical therapist, you're working with them to get, gait training, fix your posture, getting them to walk again. Well, okay, now you're walking. Let's get you to the grocery store. Let's get you from your condo on the third floor down to your parking lot. Some little things like that, and we kind of overall take for granted until we're not able to use it, right? So the behind the scenes is really important, and I think with the OT and the PT, it's so important that we do utilize the services that are available in the community, especially the therapies. Just as simple as you get weaker, you're not really exercising daily, and you have a therapist come in and get you back on track, makes a world of a difference in the quality of your life.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you to address our listeners that physical and occupational therapy are not just for people that have major disasters like a major
Mm-hmm.
stroke. It can be for people who are really just deconditioned, right? They've maybe led a sedentary lifestyle. They're older now, and joints start to stiffen, muscles start to weaken. And occupational therapy can be good for those folks too, right?
You nailed it. That's exactly the hope with the therapy. It's not just for like a major illness or a fracture, post surgery. It is for anyone. I mean, I have a neighbor that I'm seeing for therapy, and I ended up seeing her at the gym downstairs. We got to talking because as she was working out, and I said, I think we need to reposition how you're sitting and your posture, and we got to talking, and turns out there's a lot of tendinitis going on, and
Wow.
over time, just overuse and improper use of the joints.
Yeah, that's painful.
And very, very painful.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I'm able to go ahead and provide the occupational therapy for her. So there's no major surgery, there's no stroke or anything like that. But like you said, overall deconditioning, especially after COVID.
Right. And people don't have to be in the hospital to qualify for occupational therapy in their home. But the other thing I wanted to add, because I saw this a lot in my home health career, is there's homework involved. There's homework, and then, I'm sure your goal, correct me if I'm wrong, your goal is to help that person graduate from you so they don't need you anymore. But but they still have to keep up that home program that you set them up with.
Absolutely, yeah. We do set them up with the home program. Like you said, it gets tricky because you hand them the piece of paper and you say, these are the exercises I want you to follow, but you give me a piece of paper, I won't do it, right?
Right.
You always need the accountability. But yes, part of the goal for the occupational therapy, we do the plan of care, we do a thorough evaluation, we work with you for the few weeks to meet your goals, and the point is that I can teach you everything that I know. And then you're supposed to carry that on. And does it happen all the time? No, but that's where the OT comes in, where we sit down with you, work with you for a program that works for you, that would get you motivated to do those exercises,
right,
to do the homework, after we're gone.
Yes, yep.
As you guys are talking about this, then I keep thinking too, okay, a lot of us get introduced to these concepts through the aftermath of some sort of a hospital stay, a rehab stay, or something like that. But I remember asking, and both of you really understand this, Nancy Deardorff, our operations director, who has the experience of having run the area's I would say in those days, the preeminent home health care organization in Brevard County, and then Jital Patel with Coastal Occupational Therapy. This is what you do every single day. But I remember talking to you guys, and you don't always start with the aftermath. You could actually talk to your doctor. You could actually talk directly to you and see if some of the things that you're able to help with might be helpful. And then you guys can work together with the doctor to make all that happen. Am I saying that?
Yeah, like prevention.
Yeah. Am I saying that the right way?
Correct. Yep, you are. Exactly. Like you said, prevention. You can put together the plan. And a lot of times, so specifically for the occupational therapy at Coastal OT is, because it is Medicare Part B, you don't necessarily have to always have the referral from your doctor to initiate the therapy services.
Oh, wow.
You can, like I said, with my neighbor, she needed therapy and we started, and we do communicate with the doctor, the physicians, to say, hey, we're starting therapy. Would you mind giving us a referral? And it's, they're always very cooperative and they do get the referral. But to initiate, you don't have to. You don't have to wait for that the doctor's visits or the referral to start.
And correct me if I'm wrong. The under Part B, the person does not like in skilled home health care. The person does not have to be homebound.
Correct. You don't have to be homebound
wow.
to receive the Part B occupational therapy or PT services.
So it could be a matter of you're not technically homebound, but leaving the home is inconvenient, or it's rather a chore, but you don't quite meet the homebound. Or maybe you had home health care, and home health care is ended, but they still need some good qualified skilled occupational therapy. And that's where you can pick up, correct?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's either you've been discharged from home health therapy, or you didn't qualify for it, or you've kind of met that baseline, and then you need just that little extra in the home, outside of the home, that outpatient therapy can provide.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So how would you, both of you guys, with kind of this background and this expertise, how would somebody listening say, well, I don't really feel like I'm moving around really well. I had to fall. I went to the hospital. Whatever the circumstances, I just don't feel like I can move like I used to. How would you ask a listener to think about things to see if they're a good candidate to maybe say, do I need to look into this?
I would say they don't have to decide if they're a good candidate. If they think they might be, they can call me. I can put them in touch with Jital and Coastal Occupational Therapy, or they can call Coastal Occupational Therapy directly. So if you're not sure if you qualify or if it's right for you, just make a phone call, and a professional will guide you through. And chances are, if you're thinking that you might need it, chances are you do.
Yeah, that's right. Nancy Deardorff speaking. She is the operations director for Helping Seniors, and you can reach her at
321-473-7770.
And I love how you said that, because we have this like little motto. Joe always called it an aging plan, and does. We call it helping you get your ducks in a row. But what we're really trying to do is get you to think ahead and basically try to help you live the best life that you can with whatever constraints you're facing. And one of the things that we've learned as we've been studying on this now for over a year about, we talk about everything: legal, financial, transportation, medical, everything. But one of the lessons that we keep learning, and we say it's almost goes right with this get your ducks in a row, is don't try this on your own. So we're going to go Google something. I'm having trouble moving, so I'm going to go look at something on the internet that's going to give me exercises, and all of a sudden I'm going to feel 20 years younger. And if it's on the internet, we all know it's 100% true, right? It's all vetted out. But the point is, arguably, why would you not call an expert like Jital and say, this is what I'm running into? Is there something I can do about this? Is that where a conversation starts?
Absolutely. And like Nancy said, if you're thinking about it, you've taken that first step. If you're thinking that there might be a chance that you can get qualified or you need the therapy, likely you would. You're already on that route. So yeah, that's the first step. Is if you are thinking about it, give us a call, give Nancy a call, and then we can at least guide you through the process.
And I've said our number, but if they want to reach Coastal Occupational directly,
yep, they can reach us at 321-361-8040.
And I want to say this about the people that we are so blessed to have connected with Helping Seniors. all the people that I can think of that are connected, they're all people who are excellent business people. They're ethical. They're on top of what they do.
We're so blessed.
But they really do care.
Yes.
And I've seen everybody. I've seen you do it. I've seen how you'll take the time to walk somebody through to try to help them get to the best solution that's possible. And everybody's case is a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't say that enough. We are blessed for the supporters that we have, Coastal Occupational Therapy and our other supporters. And when I when I give out resources when people call, I'm so proud and comfortable to give the resources that I do, because I know these people. I know they're ethical. I know they do a good job. And many times when I give a resource to someone, if that resource can't help them, they'll even go above and beyond to help connect that caller with another resource that maybe is a better fit. So we have some great supporters with Helping Seniors. We're so lucky.
Yeah, no, I really believe that. And Jital, I've seen you like really try to, like you almost scratch your head to find a way. There's going to be some way that you're going to try to figure out to help somebody. And I think that's why it's so important that people maybe reach out and say, well, here's what's going on. Is this something I should be looking at?
Right. And like it takes a village.
Right.
When I get the referral, or if I get a client or a neighbor and that's needing this therapy, or any questions, is this insurance right for me? What do I do about my mom or dad? Are they okay to live at home? Should they go to an assisted or independent living? Questions like that. They need a will, power of attorney. I can't answer all those questions on my own. And like you said, it's the resources, to have in the community that I'm able to kind of send them off to. And it takes a village. So from me to the next person, you guide them through the whole process. We just don't say, here, you're done with therapy, and that's it.
Right,
Doors
right.
closed. There are a lot of avenues open, and, you get them to, like you said, age in place and live their best life possible with everything that they need.
Wow, she couldn't have set up the second half of the Helping Seniors show better when we're going to talk about the Senior Resource Center, right? Because that's going to be the whole concept. And that's the dream and a vision that Joe has had since the day he built the Joe's Clubs. He wanted to see a place where people could come together that are not only super proficient at what they do, but they have a lot of answers, but they're great networking in between to make sure that, if it's not something I can help directly with, here's something that is going to maybe advance the case. And that's what's happening with the Senior Resource Center. So in the second half of the show, we're going to kind of devote that. I just want to ask you before we move off, Jital, is there any like appeal or something you would say to somebody, like, if you're struggling with this, why not give us a call and let's talk through it?
Absolutely. What I've usually found is don't think twice about it. I think if you are considering that, my mom or myself, I'm not feeling well, I'm a little bit weaker, I have concerns about my balance, concerns about driving, vision, whatever it may be, that's the first step that you've already taken. Give someone a call. You can give me a call. There are other resources in the community. You can give Nancy or even Kerry a call, and we can guide you to the right person to get you the help. Take the first step now and get the help, because there is help available and resources and partners in the community that are more than willing to provide you the support.
Wow, so well said.
Well said.
I think we'll applaud and then go to the mid-show break and come back and talk about the Senior Resource Center. So we'll be back with the second half of Helping Seniors in just a few moments.
12:34 in the afternoon right now on this Wednesday. You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper. Let's get back to more of the program with your host and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here is Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. Thank you. And thank you, listener. Welcome back to the second half of the Helping Seniors radio show on 90.3 FM, WEJF, and those listening online at WEJF.net. And welcome back if you're still listening on the podcast. We're glad that you are here, and I think you're going to find the second half of the show really, really fascinating. When Joe Steckler, our president and founder, he's the guy that built up the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation and got things rolling with, they call them Joe's Clubs, but it's adult daycare. It's really an opportunity for caregivers to get some respite from all the things that are required of them. And Joe said at the time he'd always had this vision of putting together a facility where top quality professionals who care for seniors would come together to create an environment where resources and help and answers to questions are going to be readily available. And that's exactly what's happening now with the Senior Resource Center that we're getting ready to open here. Just literally, it's happening even while we're on the radio. So let me welcome back our guests, because we're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. Nancy Deardorff, our operations director for Helping Seniors, is here with us today, as is Jital Patel with Coastal Occupational Therapy. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you.
So what happened here, just to give a little brief history. So Joe and our great friend Greg Kennedy over at Zon Beachside, which we've been partners together. Joe met Greg before he ever built Zon Beachside. In fact, it was an idea that was, they're just going to start construction. And Joe was really impressed with Greg's vision for the future, that he wanted to create assisted living and memory care, but use technology to keep residents safe, in addition to all the help that they would normally expect to find in a residence like that anyway. And so as we went down the road, both Greg and Joe shared a great idea. Said, let's create a senior resource of Brevard. And so several years back, we created I would say, they call them like business incubators. I would almost call that's what this was for us. And we loved it. And we still do training sessions and we do seminars, and our friends at Zon are terrific. But we actually had a little facility that was co-located in Zon. And of course, when COVID happened, because it was co-located in Zon, and they said you can't go in there, because of all that stuff, you're not allowed, they can't have outside people coming in. That kind of put a hiatus on it. It just wasn't possible to be able to do that. So we had to take a COVID hiatus. But the thought of this never left, and so Joe starts writing letters, and he starts at the top, as he does with everybody, and he starts talking, and he gets an answer back from a gentleman named Dr. Craig Delegdish, who not only is a superb oncologist, but he's also the head of Omni Healthcare Group. And he writes Joe back and he says, I'm intrigued. Let's hear what you guys have in mind. And so he was kind enough to offer Joe, Nancy, and myself an opportunity to visit last November. They have a beautiful building. We call it the Omni Healthcare Tower. I think its official name is the Apollo Professional Tower. But it's right over there next to the hospital in Melbourne. So it's right there on that huge medical campus. It's kind of a state-of-the-art facility. And Dr. Delegdish heard what Joe was saying, and he said, I want to help you guys. What can I do to help you? And Joe said, I really want to get this Senior Resource Center off the ground. And so, long story made short, they have made it possible for us to have a 5,600 square foot spot on the second floor of that building, the Omni Healthcare building, and that is now in the process of becoming our Senior Resource Center Brevard. You may have seen an article just this past week in Hometown News talking about all the things that are going on. There's a great picture of our board of directors, and we were all excited because it was like our first board meeting in the new office, and it was just terrific. And we're anticipating that if we can do these things right, we're really going to be able to make a huge difference for seniors. Nancy, talk a little bit about your own impressions. Like, you walked in there the first time, it was a medical office. In fact, I think you and Joe were joking, said, I think this is where we came and got our COVID shots.
Yes, it is. It is where I got my COVID shot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I go way back with Dr. Delegdish to my days as a hospital RN.
Wow.
So I was familiar with him. And so I was familiar with that office as a medical office,
right,
because I had been in it many times before, not just for COVID, but back when I worked home health. And then the day we talked to him, he's like, whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
And they
So
took us on a
gracious.
tour.
So
Of course,
gracious.
I never saw the whole space.
Yeah.
So it's pretty vast.
Yes.
And of course, helping seniors, we don't need a lot of space. We need a small space,
right,
to be able to do what we do and potentially meet with folks that want to come in. So there's all these other mini offices. So not only did they donate space to us, but they are sort of, I don't want to say converting, but updating the offices.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of looking like exam rooms, they look like mini suites.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have senior-friendly businesses. That is, businesses of all kinds, but that really focuses on senior in there. So not only can they come talk to helping seniors, not only are we still going to continue to answer our helping seniors information line, they can come in, and if they have a particular need for occupational therapy, depending on Jital's availability, I can walk them right down the hallway to meet with, we're going to have an attorney. We have a private duty homemaker companion service. I'm certainly not we're going to have Jital, Coastal Occupational will be there. Our vision is to have a library filled with resources for people that aren't in the building, because we do understand there's only so much space and not everybody's going to want to be in that space. So, we just, and then as the Hometown News article alluded to, we have a goal of maybe having some computers set up, because there's a severe lack of education for seniors to learn technology.
Yes.
We're not there yet. I know a lot of people, I got some calls last week from the Hometown News article.
We're all excited. We want to get there, but we got to work it out.
And I actually had a couple callers who said they stopped by the office.
Wow.
They said, one fella said, I guess I was too early. There was really nobody there. It's still under construction, folks. Yep. So we're not there yet, but it's just around the corner, and I'm sure we'll be shouting from the rooftops when we're open and ready to receive people into that building. But it's just going to be a place for everyone.
I wanted to dovetail, because one of the things is, so in helping seniors, and Joe set this bar years ago, he said, this is a nonprofit. He said, there's not competition within a nonprofit. So when you call us and say, I need an elder law attorney, I think I've run into a situation, there are 3 excellent elder law attorneys that I would have no qualm saying, call any one of these guys. They should be able to help you. But we don't go like, you should go to this one or this one. We want to give those and let you figure out for yourself. These are all, we've had great reports. We know they know their stuff. We monitor. We know what's going on. They're going to help you. You find who you work with.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to say that. So even as we have people in the building, another example is people who are experts in Medicare insurance. We have 3 excellent Medicare independent agents who really know their stuff cold. And I'd have no problem saying, here, call so-and-so, call so-and-so. But the point is, what we want to do is get everybody to work together. And it's kind of like what Jital Patel from Coastal Occupational Therapy was saying. It does take this village. And so with as many seniors as there are in the county, there's no reason for people who are offering quality care to seniors to even think of each other directly as competition, but to say, like, if there's so many seniors, the need is so great, we all got to work together to make this happen.
You said that so well. There is way more seniors that need help out there compared to the businesses and organizations that exist to help them. So there is no infighting. There is no sense of competition. And certainly our Senior Resource Center and the resources that we give to people are not going to be restricted to just those who are there at the site. We're going to always continue to give the best resources to people who call or come in and need help for that person.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm really excited about being in that Omni building, too, is the relationship we're going to be able to have with Omni Healthcare, because one of the things that I love is they have so many quality healthcare professionals, doctors, and different things that they do that we'll be able to have them come in, because we're going to build a media studio in there. That's one of the things that's coming. So we'll be able to do our television, our radio, and things like that on site at the center. We're going to be able to, if we have a training class like we talked about, we're going to be able to actually have those either be available also, so on Facebook Live or whatever, or certainly after the fact as a resource. Because as we've talked about, Nancy, in this county, 72 miles north to south, and so it's so long that not everybody from Titusville is going to drive to Melbourne, or not even everybody from Barefoot Bay is going to want to drive to to Melbourne. But from there, we can use that as kind of like our center to get information out, and certainly those who want to come by are going to be welcome to participate in the things that we'll have scheduled there.
Yep. I think of it as more of a there are lots of resources available, but not many people have access to that. And the resource center, that bridges that gap to have this one-stop shop that gets all your questions answered and giving you all the resources in the community that are available, and not just what we have at the center. And like you said, being able to come in, ask all the questions you have, and us guiding you to the right direction. And I know you, Kerry, and I, when we talked about doing all the workshops and seminars, like you said, giving it out to the masses through the media. So there's those that are not able to come in person are able to go through the Facebook or the websites and watch all the seminars, all the education that we're able to provide with all the resources at the center.
You see, I think that's going to be so important, because what we see anecdotally already, and I said it at the top of the show, we'll take our TV shows, we'll take today's radio show, we'll take the articles we publish in Senior Scene magazine. We'll take all of it and we'll archive it in a way that it's accessible. So if you go and search a topic on the Helping Seniors website or the YouTube channel or the Facebook page, you can pull up a topic that's important to you. And we see this happen all the time anecdotally. Somebody runs into a situation, and now they can sort of get like some background before, so they're helping the professional because they'll already have some background in what they're wanting to ask questions about, and it will also help the professional, whether it be that insurance person, the occupational therapy expert, whether it would be the elder law attorney, whoever that person is, they're gonna it's like a dance. The person who needs the help needs to know the right things or try to get to a place where they can know at least the right questions to ask. And that professional needs to know how to help guide them so they can get to that solution.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what our, Jital, you said it takes a village. I say that all the time. That usually when you say it takes a village, it goes along with children. It takes a village to raise a child. And I've often said it takes a village for our seniors as well. And really, the Senior Resource Center is going to be our little village.
Yeah.
Our little village. I always say it takes a village. I always say, how do you know what you don't know? Well, you don't.
Yeah.
So if you need guidance, you call us. You continue to call us like our callers do, or we'll have finally a place that we can meet face to face. I do get callers that say, hey, I want to meet with you. And I'm like, we're not in our space yet. We work remotely right now. And also the other thing that I say often is knowledge is power. Yeah. And so a lot of what we want to do is impart knowledge for that aging plan, helping people get their ducks in a row before something goes wrong. To have a plan A, which is your ideal, but to also have a plan B and sometimes a plan C.
Yeah. So
that you can live your life out comfortably the way you want it to the best of your ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And doing what I do as a mobile therapist, I see it so often that our seniors are so overlooked. The care is available, the resources are available, but I think the services for the seniors are so overlooked. There are resources, but they may not have access to them. And I think the Resource Center is going to be something really amazing that they can readily be able to utilize either in person or through the media. And like you said, Nancy, I'll get my clients will say, well, when are you open? When can we go in to access all these resources that you have? Ask the questions that I have, and it's just getting out of the house. Their socialization, it improves their quality of life, just being out and talking to everyone.
Absolutely. And this is a little off topic, but on topic. I was reading an interesting article this morning about the Surgeon General. Did you see that, Kerry? Mm-hmm. You're shaking. Surgeon General saying that loneliness in the United States is becoming an epidemic.
Oh, I would believe that.
And that's especially true for our seniors. And I see that with lack of transportation or inability to drive, whether there's physical impairment or vision, financial strain, all these things. Sometimes when I get calls, I'm the only person that senior has talked to all day long.
Wow.
That's right.
There's another good friend of the Helping Seniors organization. We call her Chef Jillian, but she's Jillian Zabris with Chefs for Seniors, and that's actually what they do. They go into people's house and they create food for them. And the beautiful thing is, from a nutritional aspect, if somebody says, well, the doctor said I'm supposed to be on this kind of diet, then they know how to prepare because, all these, so there's a socialization factor, there's a nutrition factor, there's a knowledge factor. It goes back to, why are you doing this stuff on your own? And I remember talking to Chef Jillian, and I said, do you have to be rich to be able to afford this? And she said, no. She said, basically how it breaks out, if you were buying a $10 meal at a fast food place, every day, you're kind of already there,
Yeah, exactly.
But now you're going to be doing, so instead of the doctor yelling at you like, well, you were supposed to be on this Mediterranean diet or whatever, you're going to get little gold stars when you go or something. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
But the point of the whole thing is really, and there's several other things that are coming in the Senior Resource Center. Like Nancy, we really talked about this a lot last week on the radio. I know that so many calls are coming in about the housing challenge for seniors. So we're actually putting together, or trying to consolidate our efforts about the senior housing crisis and what we're calling the Helping Seniors Senior Housing Task Force. So that's going to be headquartered there. For the first time in 12 years of doing this, we're actually going to be able to put together our volunteer office, because we are going to need help. We get people who call us from time to time and say, I have a couple hours, I would like to help you. Can I help? And we're like, yes, but we're not organized yet well enough to be able to accept the help in the way that really is meaningful. But that's one of our goals, kind of like coming out of the gate with the office.
Absolutely. I'm keeping a list right now of future volunteers, people who call me and say, I want to volunteer for this or that. Some people don't care what they do. Some people say, I only want to do,
sure.
I have a particular volunteer that really only wants to focus on housing. So I see a volunteer force, if you will, and then each volunteer maybe having a head volunteer for, depending on the subject, right? That's what I envision for the future. So what do we need? We need volunteers. We need more. We also need financial support.
Absolutely.
And there's a couple of ways to do that. Of course, to our listeners, most people know that our biggest fundraiser of the year is our car raffle,
yes,
which is coming up, and I'll let you talk to that, Kerry. Coming up, our grand drawing is going to be October 7th this year, 2023. We've added a fifth car, so the winner gets to choose their choice of one of 5 cars. And again, I'll let you talk to that. But in addition to that, I want to let people know there are other ways you can support, and more ways you can support us than just the car raffle.
Yes.
We accept private donations. If you go to our website, there's a button you can click to donate. Someone can call me. I can run secure credit card. It can be a one-time donation. It can be a person who wants to regularly donate. And the beauty about people donating to Helping Seniors of Brevard is 100% of our donations stay right here in Brevard.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, they don't go outside of the county. They go directly to helping our seniors. And another way for anybody out there listening that owns a business or knows somebody who owns a business is we need sponsors.
Yeah.
We need more sponsors, and we have different levels of sponsorship. And so if someone's interested, and unlike most charities or 501c3s where you sponsor and you get a, hey, thank you, what we actually do in return is we actively promote your business.
Sure.
Because we have Senior Scene magazine, we have the radio, the TV. I can tell the caller, I can tell you more about it if you're interested in calling. So if you own a business or part of a business and you want some more exposure, of course, we vet the businesses because we want to make sure that our sponsors are senior-friendly businesses. It doesn't always mean that they get a senior discount. So in some cases it does, but it means they're trustworthy. They show up when they say they're going to show up. So that's other ways. And then also, just like a lot of other charities, people can make bequests to us.
Sure.
If they want to, and they have a passion for seniors and want to see that their money stays right here in Brevard helping seniors, people can put it in a trust or a will.
Absolutely.
A little stipend that goes towards helping seniors. So it takes a village, and even a nonprofit needs donations and financial support to survive. And we don't want to just survive, we want to thrive and we want to grow, because the more we grow, the more we can help more seniors right here in Brevard.
Yeah, like I say, we can only go as far as you will help us go, you know. So car raffle is a great way to do it, as you were talking about. In fact, this afternoon, if you are a veteran, first of all, we want to honor you and thank you for your service. But this afternoon, Vicki Moore, who is, she's a licensed Medicare expert. She's one of those people I would say in a heartbeat, call her. She can sort out your insurance questions, and she knows this stuff backwards and forwards. But she's going to be out there this afternoon at the 35th Annual Veterans Memorial Reunion out at Wickham Park. It's happening 4 to 8 p.m. She's actually going to have that cool Mazda, which is one of 5 cars you could win in the Helping Seniors car raffle. And she's going to be out there with good Helping Seniors information, but she's also got your Helping Seniors raffle tickets, 1 for $25, 5 for $100. You buy them. Each ticket is a chance to win a car. You get to pick which car you want to win. It's also your admission to the museum on the night of the grand drawing, which is Saturday, October 7th. 2023. Somebody is going to go home in a new car that night out at Mark Pylock's beautiful American Muscle Car Museum. You get to choose from 5 cars. You could choose a Dodge Challenger, like our winner did a couple years ago, the Chevrolet Camaro, like our winner did last year, Kia Sportage, like the winner did year before last. There is also the Mazda Miata we just talked about, and there is a rumor that, Nancy, when you're out at Fresh Scratch Bistro, right out there beachside on A1A Sunday, noon to 4, that you may be the first one to take out the Mitsubishi Outlander, which is a car.
I'm hoping that's the car that AJ hires lends us, because I've not driven that one yet.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Now, so Jital, do you have a car? Like which of those cars that we're talking about? Do you have if I would win, this is the car?
Did you say you have a Camaro?
Aha.
Yep.
I know.
I will take that one. I'll trade my Prius or my Camry in for that.
So she's like with Ashley Caswell with Raleigh IT. She's another one of our board directors. And years ago when this started, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, she said, I'm all about the Dodge, and Ashley goes, I'm all about the Camaro. So it's been this like friendly rivalry. It's kind of like when people trash talk the other folks' sports teams, kind of thing. And so we've actually taken it to a whole level. There's a thing you got to see online, DodgeVChevyChallenge.com. But you can go to HelpingSeniorsCarRaffle.com. You can get your tickets. You can call Nancy for the tickets, 321-473-7770. And while we've been talking about this, one last thing that I want to push in while we have just a moment. Literally tomorrow, they are doing the Caregivers Conference, and it's going to be at Ascension Catholic Church, and it's running, I think if I'm remembering correctly, it's 10 to 2. I may have it wrong, but you can get the information if you go to our Facebook page. If you're a caregiver, this is designed for you. It's put on by the people from today's caregiver magazine, caregiving.com, and they actually invited us to participate. I'm excited that there's going to be a panel at 1 o'clock that we get to participate in, where caregivers share solutions like this is what I'm facing and this is how it works, because as you know, you when you run into these situations, you just feel isolated. You feel like you're on your own, but that's why we keep saying you got to call somebody like Jital Patel with Coastal Occupational Therapy. There's help available. Call Nancy at Helping Seniors Brevard. There's help available. Let's navigate you to something that's going to make a difference. So real quick, Jital Patel with Coastal Occupational. If somebody wants to call or reach you, what's the number again?
321-361-8040.
And Nancy, our number for Helping Seniors.
Absolutely, 321-473-7770.
And with that, we will see you next week right here on the radio, 90.3 WEJF for Helping Seniors Radio. Have a great week here to there.